Fantasy football fan, what's going on? This is Fantasy Football AF. I'm your host, Mitchell Renz. Today, I'm drinking Top Cutter Indian Pale Ale, courtesy of Tavour, and the box of beer they sent me. You want a custom box of beer from craft breweries all over the country? I need you to head over to Tavour.com right now. Use that promo code CHATSPORTS for $10 off your very first purchase. Let's open this bad boy, and Harris, let's send it. The first rumor I got for you guys coming up on the board, Andrew Luck. Is he going to be playing in his first preseason opener on Thursday? Yeah, apparently he is. Coach expects him to play at least one quarter, and it's going to be a quarter that I guarantee you the entire country is going to be glued into. Because why? Because there's nobody who I want to know what the heck is going on with your health than Andrew Luck. And I mean, I've listened to podcasts, I read articles, I watch videos. What is going on with Andrew Luck? I want to know if he's healthy, and I want to see what he can do in a Thursday preseason game because, well, the last time I saw him throw was in 2016? That's a long time ago, guys, because 2017, the dude didn't play. But when he did play, let's not forget how great Andrew Luck was. I mean, he had a career-high 40 touchdowns in 2014, and in 2016, he threw 31 touchdowns, only 13 picks, over 4,200 yards, and the Colts defense, not going to be any good. I get it. Their offensive line has improved, and I understand that Luck has missed 26 games the last 3 years, but Andrew Luck, I think, could have been somebody who we could have talked about being the next greatest quarterback. And it pisses me off that the Colts are wasting away this guy because he is truly talented. And if Andrew Luck looks good in preseason openers, I'm telling you right now, his ADP is going to start to rise. And all I'm going to say is pump the brakes, because just because it's the preseason doesn't mean he's going to play the entire season because, well, he didn't last year, guys. So, all right, next rumor I got for you guys coming up on the board, Vance McDonald. Is he a tight end sleeper? Well, he's listed as the starting tight end for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. And that Pittsburgh Steelers offense was churning last year. And, well, they're one of the better offenses in the league because Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, there's going to be chances for a guy like McDonald to score touchdowns. And when I look at a tight end, that's what I want. Can this guy score touchdowns? So, last year, 14 catches, 188 yards, only one touchdown. Traded to the Steelers last offseason. It took him a little bit of time to get it going a little bit. And I think the Steelers were like, okay, we see the talent with this guy. He's way more talented than Jesse James. His only problem throughout his entire career is he misses games. He missed 11 games the last 2 years. And when I look at a guy like McDonald, I'm like, this guy is just absolutely dripping with talent. He truly is. And if he can be, I don't know, the fourth option, which he probably will be on a team like the Steelers, let's say he can get maybe 80 targets, 90 targets. I think that's a pretty good tight end sleeper for a guy right now who's ranked as the tight end 20 going in the round 14 in drafts. That's a tight end that I definitely, think you guys should invest in. And, well, I'll be honest, I'm drinking the Vance McDonald Kool-Aid. You know what else I'm drinking? This awesome freaking beer from Tavour.com. And if you're a beer drinker like me, and I know you guys are, Tavour will help you discover rare beers. And you can curate your own collection, and they're going to deliver them right to you guys. It's super, super easy. So, this is what I need you to do. I need you to go to Tavour.com right now. Sign up. Use that nice little promo code right there, ChatSports. Get $10 off your very first purchase. You know what? Tell Mitch sent them too. Cheers to you guys. Cheers to Tavour. You guys are awesome. Okay, next rumor I got for you guys coming up on the board is OBJ, a top 3 wide receiver. Right now, he is currently going in the very first round, which probably hints at the fact that, yeah, he's going to be a top 3 wide receiver. Over 90 catches, 1,300 yards, and 10 touchdowns his first 3 years in the NFL. Obviously, last year, that didn't happen because he went down with an injury. Right now, his ADP is pick 111. 111, and he is a top 3 wide receiver in terms of average draft position. But is Odell Beckham actually a top 3 wide receiver? It's a good question because the guy actually has never finished as a top 3 wide receiver in fantasy football. Believe it. Seriously. He's finished as wide receiver 4. That's his absolute highest. And last year he finished as 82. Again, due to the injuries. 25 catches, 302 yards, 3 touchdowns last season. And then we're talking about guys like Evan Ingram. They added Saquon Barkley. Are we really confident Eli Manning can get it done? I love OBJ. Great talent. Let's not forget about Sterling Shepard. But I want to know, is OBJ a top 3 wide receiver for fantasy football this season? If you guys think he is, type in 1 for yes. If you don't think he is, type 2 for no. Because, again, this is a guy dripping with talent. And I think a pretty good situation. But he's going to have to share a lot of targets with some new faces. And I think the Giants are going to run the ball more because breaking news, Saquon Barkley, that dude's good. He's almost as good as this Indian Pale Ale from Tavor, but Saquon Barkley is really freaking good. And I think that's going to lead to more rushing attempts ultimately. And, well, I don't really know. So type 1 for OBJ, top receiver, type 2. Okay, next segment I got for you guys, and it's one of my absolute favorites, and it's my Master Debater segment. And this one is just where we're just going to talk about players, and we're going to talk about real life things, and we're just ultimately going to debate them. And if you guys like these segments, hit me up on Twitter, give me some new ideas at MitchellRens365, and I'll put them in my show. Okay, first Master Debater I got coming up on the board. Which tight end will score more fantasy points in 2018? Type 1 for Gronk, type 2 for Kelsey. I'm going to let you think about it while I take a sip of my beer from Devore. Damn. I'll tell you what, if I keep drinking these, Harris, I'm going to hit the floor from Devore pretty soon. Cheesy? I know. Which tight end, more fantasy points in 2018, Gronk or Kelsey? Next Master Debater I got for you guys coming up on the board, and probably the more important one because I love to eat, and I challenge anybody out there who thinks they can beat me in an eating competition. Right now my record is 72 wings in a half hour, so if you can beat that, get at me. What's the better chicken wing flavor, barbecue or buffalo? For me, I'm a barbecue guy all the way. Buffalo's okay, but you can give me any kind of barbecue. Honey barbecue, game changer. Absolute game changer. Next Master Debater coming up. Which running back will score more fantasy points in 2018? Kareem Hunt, who led the NFL in rushing last year, 1,327 yards, or a guy who I was just talking about, Saquon Barkley, who could be the next guy who leads the NFL in rushing because dude is absolutely special. So Kareem Hunt, Saquon Barkley, get your votes in below. Next Master Debater I got for you guys. Are you over the age of 21? Well, because this is a good question. Because if you're not, you probably can't drink any beer, and that, I feel bad for you. Unless you live in Germany, because the drinking age in Germany is 16. But let's, hopefully no 16-year-olds are drinking from this show. Are you over 21? Type in 1 for yes, and type 2 for no. And if you are, well, I got something pretty cool from my girl Jordan. She's about to show you right now.
All right, you guys, before we get back to Fantasy Football AF with Mitch, I've got to tell you about his beer sponsor, Tavor. Beer drinkers, listen up. This is the app you need. You can now have everyday access to craft beer you can't get in your own area. A custom box of beer delivered directly to your door. You can sign up today at Tavor.com, but make sure to use that promo code CHATSPORTS so you get $10 off your order, $20 or more.
Oh, hydration is key, guys. All right, which scoring format do you like for fantasy football? Do you like standard or do you like PPR? And I like to think of this as like the guy who's like the new generation and old generation. My roommate Cam, probably is a standard guy. Actually, he's definitely a standard guy. I don't really know what he likes for fantasy football. But for me, I love PPR because I think from a fantasy aspect, I can predict targets way easier than I can predict touchdowns. And for PPR, I'm a type 2 guy, no doubt about it. Okay, guys, I did Master Debaters. I did Rumors. Now we're going to get into 5 breakout wide receivers that could really ultimately win you your league. And the first guy I got coming up on the board is Will Fuller. This guy is an absolute monster. Well, he was for the short amount of time that I got to see him play last year. He's bulked up to 185 pounds, which is about what I weigh, which kind of makes me chuckle. But he's entering year 3. Year 3 for wide receivers is known as the breakout year. And if this is a guy who has shown as much talent as he has on an offense that I think we can all agree with Deshaun Watson looked pretty good last year, right? They were the #1 scoring offense under Deshaun Watson. And for a guy who had 7 touchdowns and his first 13 catches, like, that's insane. That's 4 games, 7 touchdowns. That's a pace for 28 touchdowns. I'm going to take the under on that, but Will Fuller's a guy who could have just an absolute breakout season year 3 for the Texans. Okay, next breakout guy coming up on the board is Corey Davis. In 2 postseason games last year, 9 catches, 98 yards, excuse me while I burp, and 2 touchdowns, right? He should see more targets in year 2. He struggled a little bit in the beginning of the season because I think it just took him a little bit to get it going. And I think rookie wide receivers at times struggle to get it going. But this is a guy who I think the Titans ultimately started to get the ball more to because, well, he's really good. He was a top 5 pick in the 2017 NFL draft. He was the #1 wide receiver. He was a guy who I absolutely loved. And when you watch him play, you're like, this guy is super talented. And he played in only 11 games last year. And the Titans, I think, ultimately are going to be a better offense. But I want to know from you guys, which wide receiver will score more fantasy points in 2018? Type in 1 for Will Fuller and type in 2 for Corey Davis. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, throw in the comments below. If you guys want to type in their names, get at me. Get at me at MitchellRens365. Tell me why. I'd love to hear what you guys think. More fantasy points, Will Fuller or Corey Davis? Okay, my next breakout guy, and this is somebody near and dear to my heart. I have such a man crush on Marquise Goodwin. Like, this is one of those where you look at a chick or a dude, or I guess I'll say that, like, before 6 beers, after 6 beers, my beer goggles are always on for Marquise Goodwin because this guy is going to be an absolute monster, right? Right now in training camp, he's the #1 wide receiver for the 49ers. That has come out multiple times. Last year with Jimmy Garoppolo, he averaged 5.5 catches, 77 yards. Sure, only 0.2 touchdowns, which is low, but he saw a whole bunch of targets, 8.6 a game. If you take that out for an entire 16-game season, that's 132 targets, 88 catches, 1,232 yards. Only Julio Jones, Keenan Allen, Antonio Brown are like the only guys who saw, and DeAndre Hopkins are the only guys who averaged that for an entire season. Marquise Goodwin, I don't think he's going to hit those projections, but for a guy who's blazing speed, 4.27 40 time at the combine, 4th fastest ever, he's going to see targets. He's going to be on a good team. I love Marquise Goodwin this year to break out for fantasy football owners. Next guy coming up, JuJu on that beat, and I wish I could do the dance, but I have to sit in this chair, unfortunately, and drink this beer. I guess that's not so bad, right? But the next guy I got coming up on the board, Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver, JuJu Smith Schuster. So JuJu was a guy who I necessarily wasn't all that crazy about entering the draft, right? But right now his ADP is round 4, and for a guy who finished the season as well as he did, last 7 weeks, 7.6 targets. That's a pace for 122 targets. If you tell me right now I can get the Steelers wide receiver 2, probably the 3rd target behind a guy like Le'Veon Bell, but if I can get a wide receiver with 122 targets on that Steelers offense, yeah, sign me up for that all day. I mean, he was a guy, 58 catches, 917 yards, 7 touchdowns. What I love about the 7 touchdowns, he had 14 games, 7 touchdowns. He didn't score more than 2 touchdowns in any game. Dude was super consistent. He didn't have any super big boom or bust games. Super consistent. And for those guys that play Dynasty, he's only 21 years old. This dude is super young, just old enough to drink beer from DeVore, and like he is just dripping with talent. And he was picked, pretty high overall in the draft. But I love a guy like JuJu. I think he could come out balling because he finished the season really strong. 25 catches, 349 yards, and 3 touchdowns in December. But what was the biggest thing that went on with JuJu last year? So I want to know from you guys, if Mia Khalifa asked you out, what would you say? Yeah? Send it? Full send? Because she'd probably let you. Or type 2 for like, nah, hard pass. I'll be honest, guys. I'm in full send mode right now. So I would, Mia, if you're listening, let's send it. Okay, next breakout wide receiver I got for you guys, and it's my #1 guy. It's Stefon Diggs. And a lot of people, including Harris, before I even started the show, was like, is Stefon Diggs really considering a breakout? Like, can you consider him as a breakout wideout? And I'm going to say, yeah. He has a career high of 903 receiving yards. He's never topped 1,000 yards, and I think he's going to do it this year. He's got Kirk Cousins on his team. Kirk Cousins is a super productive quarterback who doesn't always filter a lot of targets to wide receivers, but I don't know if he necessarily needs to. Stefon Diggs is a super talented guy, a really clean route runner, and I think he's going to mesh really well with the skill set of a guy like Kirk Cousins. Last year, 8 touchdowns for a guy like Stefon Diggs, 849 yards, right? He just got signed. They are going to filter targets to him, and I like Adam Thielen, but Stefon Diggs is more talented than Thielen. Sorry, he is. And the fact that they just paid him, the Vikings will 100% filter targets to Stefon Diggs. Okay, let's wrap up because that's something I need to learn how to do. My 2018 breakout wide receivers for this year. We got Stefon Diggs at #1, JuJu Smith Schuster #2, Marquise Goodwin #3, Corey Davis 4, Will Fuller #5. Fantasy football fam, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in to Fantasy Football AF because my show as well, I think it's pretty lit AF, right? And I want to say cheers and thank you to my new sponsor, DeVore. You guys are awesome. Don't be afraid to use that promo code CHATSPORTS for $10 off your first purchase. Until next time, cheers, guys.